What's up? Welcome back. I'm Tippity. We're gonna raise your SAT score by 100 points. Today we're gonna jump in the final section, the math with calculator section. This section is very similar to the math with no calculator section. It's much longer, 38 questions versus 20 questions, and 55 minutes versus 25 minutes. And of course, you get to use your calculator. I hope you have paper, pencil, calculator ready because we're gonna jump right into it. So the main differences between the subject matter of the calculator section versus the no calculator section is percentages. I have a percentage question up right here, question 20. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alma bought a laptop computer at a store that gave a 20% discount off of its original price. The total amount she paid to the cashier was P dollars, including an 8% sales tax on the discounted price. Which of the following represents the original price of the computer in terms of P? So I think the reason why a lot of high school students struggle so much with the percentage problems is that people do use percentages on a day-to-day basis, even people who are not particularly adept at math. It's really useful for quick estimates, right? But in the SAT, we're not interested in estimates. We are looking for precise answers. So it's very important that we use algebra when dealing with percentages in the SAT. All right, let's take a look at this question here. I'm going to really try to break it down for you guys. So we have an original price. So let's go ahead and use X for original price. So what can we do to algebraically represent a 20% discount? So I think the most simple way to do that and the easiest way to understand is go ahead and do a minus 0.2x. So you have the original price x and then you have the 20% discount. You subtract 20% or 0.2 times x, and that is equal to 0.8x. So 0.8 times x, or 80% of the original price, represents the 20% discount. All right. And they tell us in the problem that there is an 8% sales tax. So again, how are we going to represent this? And here, the simplest way to do that is to multiply the whole thing by 1.08. Okay, so if you multiply by 0.08, that would represent the 8% sales tax. Remember, 0.08 represents 8%, 0.8 represents 80%. But we're not interested in just the tax. We want the original price plus the tax, or the sales price plus the tax. So that's why we have a 1.08 instead of just a 0.08. So this should be the final price that Alma paid for the laptop, right? And they've told us that is P. And the question asks, which of the following represents the original price in terms of the computer in terms of P? So we want to solve for x because we set x as the original price. How do we do that? It's not too hard. You divide both sides by 0.08 and 0.8. If we do that here, these will cancel, and then we do the same thing on the other side to get x equals P divided by 0.8 times 1.08. The correct answer is choice D. So hopefully that makes sense. There are some other common sense kind of reality check strategies that you can do here. So one thing you should think to yourself is X more or less than P? So if you have a 20% discount and you paid P, even if the tax is 8%, P should be less than X, right? So we can immediately eliminate A because this would be less than P. 0.88, 88% of P is less than P, but X has to be greater than P. Eliminate A. Same thing for C, so here's C. 0.8 times 0.08 times P is less than P. X needs to be greater than P, so we're down to P divided by 0.88, or P divided by 0.8 times 1.08. And here, the correct way to represent 20% off, then an 8% tax, is choice D, not 88%. Yeah. 20% off plus 8% tax is not 88%. It's two different steps. All right, let's take a look at another percentage problem. So here we have number 26. Katerina is a botanist studying the production of pears by two types of pear trees. She noticed that type A trees produce 20% more pears than type B trees did. Okay, let's take a really detailed look at that sentence. She noticed that type A trees produce 20% more pears than type B trees did. How are we going to represent that algebraically? So let's let A, capital A, represent the number of pears from tree A. And B is the pears from tree B. Type A produces more pears than type B trees, exactly 20%. We can represent that as 1.2. Again, so one, like reality check again, is A bigger than B or is B bigger than A? A is definitely bigger than B, and algebraically, to represent that, you would do 1.2 times B. Why? How do you represent a 20% increase? You do B plus 0.2, 20%, times B, and that definitely equals 1.2B. Okay, and they say type A trees produce 1.44 pairs. How many pairs did type B trees produce? So we can replace capital A with 144. This equals 1.2B. To solve for B, we divide both sides by 1.2 to get, let's go ahead and do that on my calculator. 144 divided by 1.2 equals 120. B equals 120. Answer is B. Okay, so a lot of students will ask, why can't I just do 144 times 80% to represent a 20% decrease? And that's because it's a little hard to describe, but it's because if a 20% increase from B is different from a 20% decrease from A. What does that mean? Yeah, so you'll find that if you do 144 times 0.8 to represent 80% of 144, you get a slightly different answer of 115.2, and that's incorrect. So yeah, you have to realize that 20% more than B is different from 20% less than A. Why? I think let's do a simpler example. So let's say something like a jacket. You're looking at a jacket that costs $100. So 20% off of this jacket would be $80, right? But a 20% increase from 80 is not 100. And that's because 20% of 80 is less than 20% of 100. So if you do 1.2 times 80, 1.2 times 80 equals 96. I mean, you're close, but in the SAT and in life in general, close is not good enough. Nobody cares about close. We need to be exact. All right, so that's percentages. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at some charts and graphs. Yeah, there's a lot of chart and graphs problems. I think hopefully after we practice a couple of these, you'll find that they're pretty simple. Okay, where do we want to start? Let's start with this one, number 13. All right. So number 13, we have this chart here. We have courses versus gender, how many males and females are taking Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, and we have totals all along the sides. Question reads, a group of 10th grade students responded to a survey that asked which math course they were currently enrolled in. The survey data were broken down as shown in the table above. Which of the following categories accounts for approximately 19% of all the survey respondents? Okay. So we want 19% of all survey respondents. There are 310 total respondents. So I think a really good way to solve this one would be to take 310, figure out what 19% of 310 is. So you do 310 times 0.19. 0.19 represents 19% in decimal to get 58.9. So exactly 19% of 310 is 58.9. Females taking geometry, that's 53. Females taking algebra 2, that's 62. Males taking geometry, that's 59. That's real close to 58.9. The correct answer is C, and you can do 59 divided by 310, and it's equal to 19.03%. Pretty close, and you'll find that you can definitely work backwards from the answers here. Yeah, let's try A. So A, females taking geometry, would be 53 divided by 310. What is that equal to? That is 0.17097, or 17%. So I think we can do better than that. 17 is kind of close to 19, but yeah, definitely choice C is much closer. Let's also try B. Algebra 2, 62 divided by 310, that is 20%. Again, close, but C is even closer. Let's double check D just to be thorough. Algebra 1, males, that's 44 divided by 310 is equal to 0.1419, 14%. That's the most off so far. All right. So this one is like a mix of charts and percentages. Not bad. You go ahead and directly calculate the percentages, or you can also calculate what is 19% of 310. That's 58.9. Which one is the closest to 58.9? That's males in geometry at 59 students. Let's also take a look at number 14. So 14 here, they're testing us on mean, median, and range. Okay, so we have a table, lengths of fish in inches. The table above lists the lengths to the nearest inch of a random sample of 21 brown bullhead fish. The outlier measurement of 24 inches is an error. So they have the numbers in order here. 24 is an error. Of the mean, median, and range of the values listed, which will change the most if the 24-inch measurement is removed from the data? All right, so let's quickly go over mean, median, and range. Mean is the average, so you add up all these numbers and divide by the number of numbers. Median is the number in the middle if you put them in order. And range is the top number minus the bottom number. So hopefully you can tell the median actually does not change. So if you got rid of this one right now, 12 is the middle number. If you get rid of this one, the middle number goes like in here, which is still 12. What's in between 12 and 12? 12. Median actually stays the same. So the mean changes a little bit. So let's see, how many numbers do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21 numbers. 20, it's like 24 divided by 21. It changes by that much, 24 divided by 21, so like 1 point something, 1.3-ish. But the range changes quite a bit. So hopefully you can tell D is already wrong because the median doesn't change, but the mean does change. That means D can be eliminated. The range, so as the chart is right now, 24 minus 8, that's 16. So that's the range if we include the 24, but if we get rid of the 24, the top number drops all the way down to 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. That's a pretty big change. So the range changes by 8, whereas the mean changes by like 1 point something. That is why the correct answer is C. All right, let's do a couple more. Yeah, so I really like this one, 15 and 16. Yeah, 15 and 16 really highlight, is another one of those questions that really highlights how excellent the College Board is at confusing high school students. Almost every student I've worked with misses number 16, and I'll show you why. Okay, so here we have a graph, cost of renting a boat by the hour. So we have time on the x-axis labeled H and costs in the y-axis labeled C. The graph above displays the total cost C in dollars of renting a boat for H hours. Okay. What does the C-intercept represent in the graph? So the C-intercept is right here at $5. Okay, so hopefully you remember in the SAT, the intercept is the initial cost or initial number of phones. That was what we were looking at last time. Yeah, again here, since the y-axis is cost, this would be initial cost. Initial cost of renting the boat. So number 15 is A. Total number of boats rented? No, you're just renting one boat. Yeah, in this chart, this is one boat. The total number of hours the boat is rented? No, the hours is the x-axis, not the y-axis. D, the additional cost, the increase in cost to rent a boat for each additional hour? No, that would be the rate, that would be the slope. Choice. The correct answer is A, the initial cost of renting a boat. 16, all right, 16, 15 is not so bad. Hopefully you guys remembered what I told you, and you can also see that it's choice A. 16 is tricky. 16 is real tricky. So which of the following represents the relationship between H and C? All right. So here we need an equation that represents this line. And so hopefully you can tell that the y-intercept, or the c-intercept, should be 5, so we can eliminate A and D right away. And now we need to decide, is the slope 3/4 or is it 3? So here's why this question is so tricky. You need to take a look at the units on the axis. So here you'll see on the h-axis in particular, each tick represents a quarter. Yeah, so there's 4 ticks to 1 hour. So each tick is a quarter hour, or 15 minutes. But each tick on the c-axis, the y-axis, goes by 1. So 0, $1, $2, $3, $4. So you need to keep that in mind. So it's very easy for you to say, oh, it goes up 3/4, so it's 3/4. No, it goes up $1, $2, $3, but then it goes over 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour. So it's up 3 over 1 hour. Even though there are 4 ticks, you have to remember 4 ticks equals 1 hour. That's why the equation is C equals 3h plus 5, not 3/4 h plus 5. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, very tricky. Yeah, if you're trying to move through these really quickly, very easy answer to miss. You just want to make sure you're staying focused and you're not letting the College Board question authors trick you on this type of stuff. Let's take a look at one more question. 17 is not bad at all. So here we have some function notation. Hopefully you guys have seen some of that in school. So in general, for the SAT, all you need to know is that f of x is another way of saying y. And they kind of indicate that here, saying y equals f of x. The complete graph of the function f is shown in the xy plane above. For what value of x is the value of f of x at its minimum, okay? So if we take a look at this graph, hopefully you can tell that the y value, or the f of x value, is at a minimum right here. So what is the x value here? So the ticks go by 1. This is the origin, 0, 0. So we have -1, -2, -3. Answer is -3, or choice B. All right. Yeah, so that is kind of like a very quick overview of some of the unique questions to section 4. So now we've actually covered all 4 sections of the SAT. Section 1 reading, section 2 writing, section 3 math no calculator, section 4 math with calculator. Yeah, so I think at this point it's pretty important for you guys to kind of practice on your own. Yeah, I know that it can be a little intimidating, but it's very, very important that you practice the stuff on your own, you guys. So go ahead and look up SAT Practice Test 1 on Google, get the PDF, work through it. I think, 1, it'll reduce your anxiety once you actually work through a test. And 2, there's no better way to improve your score than actually working through these questions on your own. Yes, it can be very helpful to have someone guide you, but maybe, yeah, think about this. So you probably know someone, maybe like your uncle or something, that's always yelling at the TV during football games or the NBA games, right? Like if LeBron did this or that, he would have done better. Of course, he won the championship this time, so probably not many people are saying that this year, but you know that your uncle, if he stepped onto the field on the NFL, he would be knocked out in 5 seconds, right? There's a huge difference between being able to talk about doing math problems with the SAT and actually doing them. And since you're going to be actually taking the SAT probably, you should probably actually practice, although I do appreciate that you're here hanging out with me on YouTube. All right. Yeah. If you found these videos helpful, yeah, please subscribe, comment. Yeah, let me know if you have any feedback, any specific stuff you want to look over. Yeah, and I hope you guys do a bit of practicing on your own. I'm definitely gonna make some more videos. We're gonna jump into the reading section again because I feel like that section actually takes a little bit more work compared to the other sections. I know a lot of you guys really struggle with section 4 here. We're gonna take a look at this again real soon. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys again soon.